What are some of the duties of your job? Like you said about being the head guy of all the scouting goes through you, but what else do you do, really?
If you were going to say what is your one tag, if you look at the structure of our corporation, yeah. Brian Burke is the president general manager.
Yeah.
So he's the number one guy. And I like to say he has a 30,000-foot view of the whole thing. He oversees the entire hockey business, per se. And then Dave Nonis, who was the general manager in Vancouver, is the senior vice president of hockey operations. And then I'm the vice president of hockey operations. And so the three of us, to put it very simply, our task is to make the Toronto Maple Leafs better on an everyday basis. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to figure out how to make the Leafs better. And it can be organically, it can be growth through drafting, through developing players, through our minor league system. It can be trading. It can be, you know, there's a number of different ways to build a team. But it's like any business. If I look at player development and drafting, I'm saying that's research and development. So if I were a phone company, I would say, you know, and I tell my guys, you know, 5 years ago, Apple was working on the iPhone. Nobody knew what they were doing, but they were working on the iPhone. Today they have a very successful product. And so my scouts may not get instant glory, but if they draft a player, like we took a young kid, Nazem Kadri, last year in the draft, 3 years from now, that's, you know, essentially if we were in the business model, that's our iPhone. That's our product that we have to show to the people. So it's every bit of business, and such things as, I can tell you on my desk right now as I look around, I have a budget in front of me for 24 scouts, and I get monthly reports on the budget, on every expense, every P&L that comes in. So from a business standpoint, from a finance standpoint, that's one of my responsibilities. We have meetings coming up. I have a conference call tomorrow with all my pro scouts, and in that we'll make sure that we've covered every NHL and every American League team a certain number of times to this point. If we have any gaps in our schedule, then we'll restructure the schedule to make sure when we meet in January that we're fully covered. We will rate every player, every pro player in the American Hockey League and the NHL in our own eyes that we've seen live, so that we're prepared. Whoever we're talking to, we're prepared, and we know their organizations, obviously not as well as we know ours, but pretty close to it. And so every single day it's how do we make the Leafs better. And then there's the management of people. So in a normal day I'll get phone calls from our strength and conditioning. I'll get a lot of phone calls from our medical training staff. You know, it may be ordering issues. They may want to hire a new therapist. So all the logistical things. I work closely with our travel coordinator. You know, our team schedule, a team's travel schedule is set out in advance, but, you know, we watch every detail of what time we're leaving. Another really big part of the three of ours jobs is to work very closely very closely with the coaching staff, rather. So there's not a day when I'm in Toronto when I don't meet with my head coach and talk to my assistant coaches.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
I think seeing the improvement. You know, I'm brand new at this, guys. I've literally, you know, I'm 4 months into this job, and we had a very, very rough start, and yet I think when it was most difficult, that we as a group of three, you know, stood together and said, okay, we're going to be strong here, because what happens when things aren't going well for you, other teams try and prey on you and, you know, make you make decisions that are short-term decisions but not long-term. So I think to see the gradual improvement over 4 months, to have a plan in place that we're confident in that says, here's where we're going to be next September, here's what our lineup may look like next September, project out, you know, 2 years down the road. And, you know, so if I'm looking at my team right now, I'm looking at contracts and salaries for this year, for next year, for the year after that, what pieces might be available. It's a real puzzle, and so it's very satisfying for me to see small steps taken. It's a very, very difficult process, and there's temptations to take shortcuts. And if we're going to be successful, we have to be very, very patient and believe in what we're doing and believe in our plan.